Gentlementor. On the road.
I'm not going to hurt myself trying to hang on to stuff I don't need. I'm going to let go of everything I can.
That's huge.
Say, here I am. Out here on the road. Bring it on.
That's more man than most of us.
Well, it
most
would
of us
be,
don't want to let go of those comfort things, those things that we comfort and cling to and go back to. Like the old Doug again, I can go back to that because it's a safe place and I'm familiar with it out there, even though it's not a good place.
Cucumbers. Cucumbers and onions, baby. They're safe.
Are they?
Well, that's what the children of Israel thought when they were in the desert. He brought us out here to die. We could have had cucumbers and onions back in Egypt. That comfort.
Yep. You always want to go back.
Do you want the promised land? Or do you want the comfort? The promised land is on the other side of the desert. And if you're really dumb, the other side is a really long way.
It's on the other side of a lot of lights.
Yeah. That's my hope, is like something here along this way leads to, okay, let me swing the stick again. Like I said, I still like to swing the sword. I still like to be in the game. It feels very serious to me, but I know that for other people, probably just mostly silly, because it's like, well,
no, it's a big deal.
Well, even people that believe in God don't.
This is an emergent moment.
It is.
Season.
And that's a lot of the excitement I've had.
Here's the thing. I've heard this from, I don't know how many different authors and people that I know. How to get right with God.com. A lot of this emerging theme that I know with a lot of people that I read is, reinventing yourself. Mm-hmm. You should do that every few years. Reinvent yourself.
Mm-hmm. I do, I think.
And I think I'm
in some form or the other.
I'm in a 2-year process of reinventing myself, I feel. Action paving.
I've done it, I think, out of that same process. It's like I become someone I can't stand, so he's got to die and I got to make a new person. It's kind of the salvation experience repeating itself, only it's not salvation. It's just like,
you can't make a new person.
No, I can't, but I am.
Go on with what you got left.
I am clay on a wheel, and I can be reshaped and reformed, and as long as I don't become calcified and hard and rigid, I can remain moldable and pliable.
A little bit more water of the Holy Spirit on you.
I was a bowl for a while. Maybe I'm a vase now. Maybe I was a cup and I'm getting turned into a spittoon. I don't know. It's all process.
Well, I know what I am. I'm a little teapot.
Oh, short and stout.
I think hitting the target. I don't know. I think we maybe got our thinking skewed. Kind of go back to the whole the destination is the journey thing. It's about making those decisions. It's about pushing forward.
Yeah.
And then you get 10 years down the road and you go, oh darn, I missed it. But man, that was so much fun. And look how many people look at the
Little River Man.
And look how many people were blessed because of some things that we did. I mean, we look back on our youth ministry days, we see that.
Yeah.
We're like, you know what? We didn't do the things we really wanted to do.
Oh, no, we did.
But
we did a lot of cool stuff.
We did a lot of cool stuff. We did a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
And we only know the stories that we know about. We don't know the stories that we don't know about because they're out there. Who knows?
It's
some little kids in Moberly who are grown adults now with children of their own going, man, can't put up the nativity scene because...
What'd you do now?
It's wanting me to caress the wheel again.
Man.
I feel like I just...
It's very needy.
I know.
It's a very needy steering wheel.
I got you, baby. I got you.
Right there you go.
Yeah,
hey, careful.
Yeah, see that?
Get the car. Find somewhere to park. My good friend Dave Apel once said to me when I told him I was sometimes feared, I was afraid I was going to miss God, said, how big do you think God's hand is?
Yeah.
And that made me feel silly. Which is the thought that often stays with me when I think things like that. It's like, do you think that God would have bothered with this setup? Just to go,
Quick trip coming soon in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Whoop, whoop.
So, my friend Mark, he's a pastor in Texas. He was telling me about his latest sermon series. And it was called Ladder Safety Awareness. And he had a big ladder. And he says, if if you climb up this ladder and you fall off, whose fault is it? Is it your fault or is it the ladder's fault? And of course, all kinds of discussion about whose fault it is. Well, you shouldn't have been doing what you're supposed to be doing. You didn't have the ladder. You weren't using the ladder right. The ladder wouldn't sit up
Should
right.
have been standing on that ladder on top of 2 lunchroom tables.
So, and then he talks about where David said, God lifts me up in the palm of his hand. And it's like, you said that about how big do you think God's hand is? Well, if you fall out of God's hand, whose fault is that?
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes on the next week, he talks about how OSHA requires you to have 3 points of contact on that ladder at all times. So 2 feet, 1 hand, or both hands and 1 foot. You have to have 3 points of contact on that ladder so that you don't, number one, you don't overextend yourself. You don't fall off that ladder. You don't do something to cause the ladder to be unstable. And so he equates that with being your, I'm assuming he's equating with 3 different points. You need to hold on to God. You know what? Screw you. Turn that off. I need you telling me where to put my hands.
Man.
You're not my wife.
That's one annoying car.
Anyway,
3 points of contact.
3 points of contact. Not that that was anything helpful. It just reminded me of that. But that's very good. That goes along with that. Well, how big do you think God's hand is? Now we're starting to take the turn south.
Ooh. Here we go.
What is that?
That is a patriotic water
Patriotic
tower, I
water
think.
tower.
Waffle House. You're in the South now, baby.
The Waffle House.
Let the Waffle House begin.
Oh, beautiful,
Patriotic
oh,
water.
spacious skies, oh, amber waves of grace.
Oh, look at that.
What is that? Is that a white pimple on there?
Clarksville 19, Nashville 56. Closing her in, baby.
Kentucky Bourbon Trail Craft Tour.
Oh, baby.
Exit 89. Sorry, after 5 o'clock, the tours are probably over. I want to see some MASH.
Sorry. That was a theme song from MASH, everybody. It wasn't live in the 70s.
I got it. I got it.
You were there. You were in the 70s.
There.
For our younger viewers. You know, the guys in their mid-40s.
Wasn't
the kids?
Wasn't this series finale of MASH more watched than the Royal Wedding? If I recall.
I believe so. It's like, if
correctly.
not one of the most viewed TV shows.
I believe it was the most
like
viewed
episode ever. Yeah.
One of the most viewed TV moments ever was the closing of MASH. Never got into MASH.
No, nor did I.
I mean, it was always on late night when I flip around on the TV.
I always
would
remember
see
being
MASH
in that spot between the news and whatever came on after that.
Right. It was like it was comforting. I never watched it, but it was comforting to know I knew what time it was.
Right.
When MASH was on, it was like, oh, I should really just be in bed on my pillow, just kind of chilling, because MASH is on. But I'm not going to watch MASH, and I never did. I mean, I watched a few of them.
Never.
I watched a little bit, but
And I don't have any regrets, even about not watching MASH.
no regrets.
Watching MASH, not washing MASH.
Watch MASH.
You gotta wash your MASH. A lot of people don't know that. Heat up your take, Dick. Wash your MASH.
So now, to continue on with the educational theme of our program.
Rock it on.
MASH, what we were talking about when I said I want to see some MASH because
Right.
there was a distillery.
Right.
MASH is all the grains that they mash together basically to make bourbon. So, like you said, 51% corn.
So let's walk me through the process. Like, we start with grain and water.
Right.
And so we make mash from that,
make
right?
mash. We boil it.
Boil the water.
Okay.
With
So, but
the grain
mash
in it.
bill, of course, number one, 51% corn.
Right.
And then it's whatever else you want to put in there. Any other cereal grains that you want to put in there is the mash bill, which makes the bourbons very unique in itself. So, whether you're going to put wheat, barley, rye, a mix of both, or corn, whatever, you just mix
rice,
all those different
potatoes.
rice. I don't know this much rice, but cereal grains basically.
Rice Krispies.
So, and then you make the mash Once the mash is done and all
So you
boiled
boil
and
that,
stirred together, you
right.
boil that, and that's when you start the distilling process. It's filtered and then distilled. And then sour mash is when you take some of that, because it's also got the yeast in it, so you got the cultures
So
going.
it just from boiling it, it's got yeast in it?
You put yeast. Well, they
You
put
got to
yeast
add
in it.
yeast
You
in.
gotta
Okay,
add
so
yeast.
that's what else you
Right,
have
so
to.
you got the
I'm like,
culture.
what are the stuff I have to put in?
Right, and now the yeast and the corn are starting to create sugars,
Okay.
and then you're extracting the alcohol from the sugars. And so,
Do you know what kind of yeast it is? Just out of curiosity.
again,
Okay.
that's one of those things that are indigenous to the distilleries. They have their own yeast, and some of them claim to have a string of yeast.
That nobody else has.
A string of yeast that's been around since like the 1840s or something.
And it could be Strang because we're in the South.
We are Strang Town. So anyway, so sour mash is whenever you take some of that mash that you just boiled,
Okay.
and you create a new batch out of that. And so you've already got some yeast culture going in there and so forth. And so it's kind of like putting yeast in the bread. You save some of the bread, you add it to the dough, same
Right.
sort of thing. So that's when you see a bourbon that's a sour mash, means they've used some of the mash from the previous batch.
Okay.
So and it changes the flavor a little bit. It's not really sour. I guess they call it sour because it's been used.
Right.
So, yeah. Then they distill it.
And that's like basically they take all that liquid,
Yep.
put that in a boiler, boil that, and
Yep.
they catch that condensation, and then that runs down.
That
and
runs
they,
down.
They catch that.
Which-
and there's the first part you can't use, and the last. The heads and tails you throw away.
Right.
And
Which,
then
in essence, that stuff that comes down, basically, it's white,
Mhm.
is beer. That's, in fact, some of them call it beer. It's the beer, and then that's what goes into the barrels. But yeah, but then
But what what drips out, correct me if I'm wrong, would be like moonshine, totally clear.
Right.
There's no
Yep.
brown or anything.
Yep.
That all comes from the
Yep.
barrel, from the aging
Right.
process.
And then bourbon, and I've forgotten my number, but bourbon has to be barreled at a certain proof. Oh, here we are, Tennessee.
Tennessee,
Tennessee welcomes you,
Tennessee,
the volunteer state.
yeah.
This is your state,
yeah.
Doug. This is where you can volunteer and do
Oh,
things.
good. I've been looking for somewhere.
Tomorrow you could volunteer to do my little talk about the great.
Is that really? Do you really want that?
It certainly would be entertaining. That's for sure.
Wait till you get to the last one. Let me do the last one. Albert Gore Jr. Highway.
Oh, Albert.
Oh, say, can you see an inconvenient truth? Tennessee.
We've made it. So this
Fourth
is
state.
fourth state.
Been in 4 states today.
6 if you count the 2 rivers. Mississippi and Iowa.
Right.
Island, or Ohio.
Ohio. Yeah, Iowa will leave off. Even if we win, I'm not mentioning it.
Not mentioning Iowa. Does Iowa have a river? Is there an Iowa river?
I don't think they have any water in Iowa. Corn.
How do they?
It's
They
corn.
grow the corn. They
I
don't
don't
have
know.
water. They get it from Illinois.
Yeah, that's it.
They're siphoning it off this lake.
Minnesota. It comes down from
Oh,
Minnesota.
it comes down. It melts.
Yeah,
It melts down
runoff.
Minnesota.
Robert Penn Warren Birthplace Museum.
I don't know who Robert Penn
No
Warren
clue.
is.
You have to look that up later. Everybody, hey, call in.
Oh, we're gonna do it
If you
right
know
now.
who Robert Penn Warren is, leave a comment below.
Who is Robert Penn Warren?
You should have to pay.
American poet and literacy critic, 1905 to 1989.
Wow.
The guy's not that old. He was an American poet, novelist, and literary critic. He's one of the founders of the New Criticism. There you go.
So he's a critic.
Apparently, it was good enough for him to have his own museum.
See? I've been a critic. I'm a really critical person. Hardly ever anybody offers to build me a museum. Guthrie. There's a Guthrie in Oklahoma.
That's right.
I've been there.
Almost
I've eaten
almost
lunch
the
there.
capital.
It was the Capitol. Isn't that where they stole the Capitol in the middle of
Yes.
the night and moved it or something like
Yes.
that? Some crazy story. There's a couple of 2 or 3 weird stories about Guthrie.
We crossed Big Lake Barkley back that way.
Did we?
Yes.
I must have missed that.
We were talking
Oh,
serious
you
about
had me crying.
We were regretting. Yeah.
Yeah,
They got a Shoney's here.
you got me in my feelings.
Dude.
Yep. The magic lives on.
Oh, would you look at that? We're
Shoney's of
we're close to
Clarksville.
a Chick-fil-A.
And Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. Lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Have a Chick-fil-A.
Visit Clarksville. Here I am. 101st Airborne Division. Home to the 101st Airborne Division.
Oh. Trying to think. They fly the... What do they... I don't know. I'm trying to make like I know something I don't. Fairbrook Place. We got a Logan's somewhere. We all got this stuff.
Logan's Roadhouse. Awful house. Taco smell.
Taco
Captain
smell.
D's, you want to go smell their dumpster?
No. Already did.
Logan's Run. Go to Logan's Roadhouse and get Logan's Run. Thank you. I'll be here all night.
It was a great show. Naked guy walking in the park. Well, welcome to the Town Place Suites.
Wow, is this where we live?
This is where we live.
Awesome. It's nice. I love the marionette. There it is.
Dixon Park.
Oh man. Finally. It's taken years. Oh, they got an amphitheater. I can do a show here.
Alright.
There's my stage. Should have brought my guitar. Pull up there behind the caboose. Shady under there. There we go. Last train to Clarksville time, kids. This is the L&N train station, Clarksville, Tennessee. There it is.
Is this where we get off if we took the last train to Clarksville?
I guess so.
That L&N station?
See, there's a Clarksville, Missouri when I was young. I was, oh, Clarksville. It's like, oh, it's Clarksville, Tennessee. I'm like, oh. So, I've waited since I was 5 years old to come here. Here it is. Of course, unfortunately, all but one of the monkeys is dead now, so I guess they won't come and sing the song for me. But Mark's playing it, and that's just as good.
I'll turn it off because you want to edit that in there, I'm sure.
Oh.
Of course, then you can't.
You had half the work done right there.
You can't put it online.
That's true. Well, a lot of you can't put stuff on YouTube. You get a 9-second rule for YouTube.
9 second? Oh wait, still do 9 seconds. Look at this. There's a truck.
Is that antique too?
I don't think so. It could be, but it's heavy. I know that.
Look at that dumbbell. What do you think that weighs? See if I can get a curl in on this. No trespassing or loitering except during business hours or events. I don't consider this loitering. I'm touristing.
That there is heavy.
I said, how many times do you think you could curl that? How you doing?
We're getting ready to have a meeting inside if y'all want to take a look inside.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
Oh man, that'd be great.
My name is Jim Long. I am the current president of the Montgomery County Historical Society in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Big thanks to you, Jim.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you got people coming in for a meeting.
And we're at the historic 1882 train station in Clarksville, Tennessee. There's a famous song by the Monkees from 1968, Last Train to Clarksville. And as the Historical Society, we have to tell you the truth, the history. And the history is that that song is not about this station or this city. the folks who wrote that song wrote about Clarkdale, Arizona, and when they went to record it, Clarksville rolled off the tongue better in singing than
That happens so
Clarkdale.
frequently.
And so, but the city of Clarksville loves to tell the story, and we have people who visit this train station because of that song.
I'm sure.
And it generates a lot of interest, and we're happy for that.
Here's one holding the camera now.
Yeah.
See a train
We had a
station.
visitor last year who came here for the same reason. Oh, I've got to see this station, because he was potty trained by Peter Tork's mother. So he was in this part of the country, and he had to come see the station.
Oh man.
These were waiting rooms. That was the ladies' waiting room. This was the gentlemen's waiting room. And because this is the South, that was the colored waiting room. And in fact, you couldn't walk through this building. The waiting rooms were walled off. There was a wall down the middle of the building, so the waiting rooms were separate, and each waiting room has its own
Its own door out on there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. That bench is original to the building, and of course these waiting rooms have been full of those benches.
Sure.
We've just left one in here so that we could talk about the benches that would have been here. Today, this is primarily used for event rental. There's a little kitchenette, and they have birthday parties and graduation.
Okay.
And
I
that's
see like a little, like a concert venue out here. Is that attached to you as well? That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's good. Just a lot of the things in here are L&N related memorabilia.
Right. What's L&N?
Louisville and Nashville.
Louisville and Nashville. Okay.
So the line here was built in 1859 as the Memphis, Clarksville, and Louisville Railroad, because it went from Memphis through Clarksville to Louisville. And then they went into bankruptcy, and in 1871, the L&N Railroad, Louisville and Nashville, bought this line.
Okay.
And operated it until 1968 was our last passenger service in this station. 2 years after the song. So when that song came out, we still had passenger service for another 2 years.
So these like old crossing arm lights up here on the wall?
Yeah, either that or, I don't know if these are original to the building because we don't have a lot of pictures of this building. It's possible that it was a signal on top of the building.
Really? Okay.
If you go outside, you can see the modern signal that was here up through the 70s. After passenger service stopped here, the L&N still used this building for freight operations for another 7 or 8 years.
Sure.
And then the building was just abandoned for 20 years. And 25 years ago, in 1996, the city and county clubbed together to renovate the building. New windows, HVAC, floor.
Sure.
Floors are not looks original. And preserve a part of it as a museum room and design it kind of with a bit of rental in mind.
This is outstanding. And you even got the record just to make sure.
Just because so many people ask.
Yeah.
Because so many people like me show up and go, oh.
It brings a lot of people.
I'm sure it does. Jim, thank you so much for your time and letting me down easy, man.
Sure.
Appreciate you bringing us in
I want to tell
here.
you one other thing that is about this station.
Okay.
You may be old enough to remember Bobby Goldsboro.
Yes.
He's still alive.
Absolutely.
He wrote a song called The L&N Don't Stop Here Anymore. And this is a letter from him saying, yes, that one is about this station.
I was going through, he brought a bunch of old record albums out the other day. In the middle of them is a Bobby Goldsboro album.
Okay.
That song might be on your album.
Really?
Yeah.
The large door is not original, but it's reminiscent of what was on the other end of this building, which was the baggage room. That's why that door is so much larger. It's for the baggage.
That is a big
So
one.
is this the color waiting
This
room?
was the colored waiting room, its own trackside door, and there was restrooms in each corner of each of the rooms. And then this connected to the baggage room.
So those have been taken out since then?
Well, one of them was right here.
Okay.
This is.
Oh, so maybe it was divided right there?
Yeah, the
Okay.
wall, the original wall went right
Gotcha,
here.
gotcha.
And this door wasn't even there. There were windows that were raised for you to buy your tickets. And then the station manager went through that outside.
Gotcha, okay, that makes sense, yeah. Well, this is great, thank you so much for the...
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. And this is where the Monkees played after they wrote Last Train to Clarksville. This is where it was first performed by Elvis.
Acrylic is all... Can't even see it there anymore.
Watch your step. Watch your step, ma'am. Methodists. That's the courthouse. Here's the Harry Potter building we have come to see.
Is this for parking up here? Clarksville's most iconic structure.
As told by Mark Walker. And action.
1898 to 1993, the United States Post Office and Customs House. The movement began in the early 1890s to construct a post office and public building in Clarksville to accommodate the city's booming tobacco trade. Booming tobacco trade. As official government facilities for the collection of import and export duties, taxes and fees on commercial goods.
Did you say duty?
Duty. Congressman Joseph E. Washington secured $35,000 from Congress to build this post office and custom house, and 3 years later the federal government purchased the property for $6,500. Sounds just like the federal government, doesn't it?
Another good bargain.
Yeah. Throughout the summer of 1896, a team of architects, the Department of Treasury drafted a set of preliminary plans, etc., etc., etc. Oh, and in the 1940s, it became the Clarksville Department of Electricity. Oh, wait a minute. In 1939, the federal government sold the post office building to the city of Clarksville for $50,000. So they ended up at least breaking even. You know,
They didn't tank it.
They gave it $35,000, and they bought it for $6,500, and then they sold it for $50,000. So
Oh, okay.
all right. It stands today as a beacon of enlightenment for the community of Clarksville, Tennessee.
For sure.
And it was damaged during the 1999 F3 tornado that devastated Clarksville. And then once again, they relit it in 2020, and it's become an icon. It's a beautiful building.
You're like traveling with an encyclopedia.
Well, you know, I just read what's on the thing there.
You're like traveling with an encyclopedia.
You know, I'm full of all kinds
Take a
of great
compliment.
things.
The Gentlementor. On the road.